what is very encouraging is I watched that show Rising, right? Because they're very good. I like them. And what's very encouraging to me is that they are saying what I've been saying here, but they say everything in a much, much calmer way, right? I let you know that I'm actually upset and that I'm actually angry. They actually work for a company, so they can't be like that. They actually have to act professional. I can actually let my emotions run like I feel like they should. And so it's nice to see smarty pantses who speak in measured tones saying exactly what I've been saying here. So let's listen. No, I have 3 clips. I don't remember exactly what's on all of them because I put this together right before the show. I was like, holy shit. When I watched this video, I was like, oh my God, I got to put this in this segment. So here we go.
They don't mind you using the rhetoric. They don't mind you giving the floor speeches as long as you're trashing the Republicans.
So she's speaking about AOC's speech and Bernie's speech over the stimulus. And what did she say? What did she say about AOC's speech? And
they don't mind you using the rhetoric. They don't mind you giving the floor speech.
They meaning the establishment. They meaning the donor class. They meaning Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. That's what she means by they. Okay? Just so you know.
They don't mind you using the rhetoric. They don't mind you giving the floor speeches as long as you're trashing the Republicans and not trashing your own side, not threatening your own side with primary challenges. That's what threatens their power structure.
And I noticed that too in her criticism. She's like, the Senate GOP and this. I was like, no. It was not Senate GOP. It was both parties.
Yes.
So that's really reassuring for me to see them say that. Okay? Because nobody was saying that right after the bill passed. People were saying the opposite. They were calling them heroes. So it's good to see. I think this is from today's episode, whatever they released stuff on the weekend. I don't know what this, but it's so good to see them say that. Because he's criticizing AOC's speech. He's criticizing her grandstanding. Which is what we've been doing here, because I'm fucking sick of those people. They do nothing for you. They haven't done a fucking thing for you. Okay? And Bernie won't even try to win the goddamn presidential race. He won't even try. If he's in a boxing match and he purposely tied one hand behind his back, and the other one he has in a sling. He's trying to talk Joe Biden into quitting. So that's so good to see that he said that. No. That's what I said. You go on the floor and you call out the Republicans. That's cowardly. That doesn't take any guts. Call out Nancy Pelosi and the system that gave us this. She won't do it. And that's what Sagar and Crystal are saying. They keep going.
Right.
But complete alignment.
I noted that
on
as
where
well.
that's at. And I was like, it's all of this is like, oh, the GOP, oh, the Republicans, oh, all of that. And it's like you said, they'll let you rail against corporatism as long as A, you still vote for the bill, B, you don't primary other people on the House floor, C, just direct all your fire that way. And I get it. I mean, that is the hardest thing to do, is to criticize members of your own party. You get a tremendous amount of pushback for it. I get a tremendous amount of pushback
yes,
for it.
Yes, we do.
It's very difficult. And I don't even work with these people.
A lot of concern trolling.
Yes, a lot of concern trolling. What happened to you? Are you out of your mind?
What happened to Jimmy? Jimmy, I used to be a paying member, but you've lost it. You've lost it. That's what people love to say. You've lost it. You mean I lost it when I was right for 3 straight fucking years about Russiagate and getting kicked in the balls for it? When I was right about Syria and the gas attacks and I got kicked in the butt, I got fucking slandered by people I used to work with on social media over that. And I was right and never apologized to. I know what that's like. What? Oh, Jimmy, really? It's because if you had the same standard for everybody else, you would be watching nothing now. Okay, here we go.
I just wanted to say something that, it is always as fascinating to me when I read or you watch people and they talk about, stop being so mean to these politicians.
Oh, fuck you.
They're doing so much for you. They're the only one who's working for you. Well, you know what? If there's just, I don't remember somebody running for president. They say, hey, I'm just one person. I'm going to do the best I can. That's not what we're looking for. And I think people have to remember that it is healthy to challenge your elected officials to do what's right. That's healthy. To act like they're impotent, that's just
Cult-like.
making excuses,
That's
goddammit.
That's cult behavior stuff. Grown-ups criticize and pressure their political leaders. Cults defend them and apologize for them. So that's great to see. Let's see what else.
Not on board, blah, 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 blah. Hear it all the time. Don't care. And that's ultimately that's the ground that you actually have to fight on.
Yeah.
Because guess what? When the stimulus bill coming, or whenever major things start happening in the Democratic Party, people start calling you or maybe like, hey, what do you think? They're trying to feel you out. They're
Right.
like, oh, is he going to criticize? Is he not? Because they know that you're not actually going to fall in line.
Yep.
That you're going to call it as you see it. People are not happy with me for blasting the stimulus bill. And I don't really care.
Right.
Because I know that it didn't live up to the standards that I put in place.
And it's not an accident that when you go against your own party, that's when you get the most outraged and vociferous pushback, because that is the thing that is most threatening to them. If you're willing to say, you got to win me over, if you're willing to say, no, I'm going to call you out like I see it, I'm not on your team, I'm on team working class. And there's nothing more powerful than that, and nothing that they fear more than a sort of independent voice out there. And so
Does it help you understand it if someone says it in a really nice way, in a nice voice? Does it help you understand it if someone says it in a measured tone, in a polite manner, without being raucous and emotional? If you take the emotion out of it and someone says it on a nice TV set with a suit and tie, do you understand it then? Here's more. And this is what I've been saying. Bernie is AOC unwilling to use their power to work for you. Right now, Bernie should be using his following. He should have used it already to get something in that bill or something out of it, or have them split the bill up into two bills. He did nothing. And people are like, well, this press would, again, those stupid arguments. The press would have smeared him. Oh, he's only one guy. All that shit. He's only one guy. He's only one of the most powerful 50 people in the entire 100 people in the whole entire world. What could one of the most powerful 100 people in the whole world do? He could put a hold on that bill. That's what he could have done. And explain to everybody in the country what was in the bill before they voted on it. Instead, he gave a grandstanding speech, made you think he got you something, which he didn't. Michael Bennet wrote the unemployment part of that bill, and it was going to pass anyway. And then he voted for it. And then he sends you emails. Bernie Sanders sends me emails to my house telling me all the shit he got for us in that bill. No kidding. It's disgraceful. His campaign is filled with shitheads. Okay, here's another one.
just as Bernie Sanders leads a real movement, I mean, AOC is a real movement leader. She has a real enthusiastic, charismatic base behind her. And so if she isn't willing to use that to gain power for the ideas that she promotes, then ultimately it's just ideas. Ultimately, it's just talk.
And that is what I've been saying since they passed the stimulus. Because I'm done. I used to do, videos protecting all those people, all the progressives. I used to do videos protecting them because the mainstream media is always attacking Bernie and the squad and everybody. Everybody's doing bad faith attacks on them, and so that's red meat for me. I go right at it and expose that the corporate news corruption and how they don't tell the truth about progressive politicians. But now it's over because they fucked us. They knew we wouldn't criticize them. They didn't fear us one fucking bit. One bit. And now I'm calling them out. I'm calling out Ro Khanna. I'm calling out AOC. I'm calling out Bernie, Elizabeth Warren. I'm calling out Ilhan Omar and Tulsi. But Tulsi has the least amount of power of all of them. But definitely, that was bullshit. Tulsi's called out the Democratic Party left and fucking right, man. She's the only one who will do it, which is what's so, to me, attractive about her. And so I what a missed opportunity for her to step up during this. It was a missed opportunity to say the least. Now, I understand she was in Hawaii and all that stuff, and she wasn't in, but still, let's get back to what they're saying.
That's what it was, is what we were talking about with Ryan yesterday, where I asked him, I said, okay, Ryan, you've covered this town for a long time. Does this strategy work? And he was like, no. It doesn't work.
No.
He's like, if you're not willing to challenge them on the ground, they're never going to give you anything. The only time they
They're not going to do it just to be nice.
They don't, look at the Freedom Caucus. How did the Freedom Caucus basically shut?
Now, this is what we've been saying. This is what Ron has been saying. That's what Graham, this is what Steph, this is what we've all been saying. Bernie should have taken his cue from Donald Trump when how he ran his presidential campaign, and the progressives in Congress should take their cue from the Freedom Caucus, who held fucking Paul Ryan hostage. Do you know that that Republican leadership hated the Freedom Caucus more than they hated fucking Hillary Clinton? You know that. But I guarantee you that Nancy Pelosi doesn't have any disdain for the squad, because they do exactly what she fucking wants. They voted for her for speaker. They voted for the bill that's going to screw everybody for a generation without calling Nancy Pelosi out for it. So that gloves are off, and I'm going hard at all the progressive leaders, and I'm encouraging everyone. And so this is a good start. Do you see how they're doing it? This is great that they're doing this. Because you can't dismiss them. They're on a real TV set, and he's got a tie on. So you can't dismiss them as easily as you can dismiss me.
Down the Republican agenda for years, because they were like, we're not voting for your damn bill. You got to come over to. They don't. Yeah, look at the Freedom Caucus. How did the Freedom Caucus basically shut down the Republican agenda for years? Because they were like, we're not voting for your damn bill. You got to come over to my office and get on your knees and beg me to vote for this. And even
you remember when Bernie did that to Chuck Schumer? Me neither. You remember when the squad did that to Nancy Pelosi? Me neither. What could they do? The press will go against them and they won't get reelected. What could they do? They're only one person. What could they do? They had to get the $1,200. People are starving. What could they do? Did you hear what he said? The Freedom Caucus shut down the Republican for fucking years. And why? Because they wouldn't vote for their bullshit. And that's the only power you have. Well, you also have power. Some political leaders have followings, like Bernie Sanders and AOC, and you're supposed to use that. That's your power.
And then they'll raise hell and go on television.
Yeah.
John Boehner and Paul Ryan hated these people with every fiber of their being, and they loved it. And that's how they got something done. Now, look, I don't love everything that Freedom Caucus does, but I respect that ability to stand up to them and force people to take votes they don't necessarily want to take.
But then you look now, and they've just basically gotten subsumed into the entire Republican Party apparatus. I mean, it just shows you this, and this is why I don't want to be overly critical of AOC specifically, who I think, has.
I hate when they do this part. They're making such great points, and then they just fucking cut their argument out at the knees almost.
A lot in terms of left movement, like so much has fallen on her, and it's really unfair to put the whole movement on her shoulders when you see the way that this town.
So I understand what she's saying. And we can't put the whole movement on her shoulders. No, I'm not trying to do that. But you got into politics to be a leader, not a follower. So it is fair to put fair, F-A-I-R, to put whatever she asked for this. She asked for publicity. She asked for your vote. She asked for us to put our trust in her leadership. She wants to lead. She asked for this. She's not an unwilling participant here. And not only that, she's playing the inside game so she can ascend to more power. Why do you think she didn't push back? Nancy Pelosi put her on the House Ways and Means Committee. That's almost unheard of for a freshman fucking congressperson. And she didn't want to lose that.
Bends people to its will time after time after time. And one of the points that Ryan made too, and that he pointed, and this I think is really important, the framing of, oh, it's a wedge between Bernie and AOC, I think that's kind of BS.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really the thing. Because as Ryan pointed out, while Bernie is caricatured as being this, angry jerk in DC, he's actually quite conciliatory. He's a member of Democratic Party leadership. He's usually quite conciliatory with them. He worked to get his amendments in, was the amendment king, all of that stuff. So even Bernie Sanders, who had the courage over many years to stay an independent and not be a Democrat, even though he caucuses with the Democrats, even he, goes along in this town quite a lot.
He said Joe would beat Trump. I mean, in my view, I think he's been completely weak throughout this entire primary.
That's good to see, too. Now it's good to see. I've been saying this since they started the campaign, that Bernie Sanders is basically running Joe Biden's campaign for him, because every time he opens his mouth, he says this guy's a good guy, he's a decent guy, and he can beat Trump. And guess what the Democratic primary voter wants? The Democratic primary voter wants anybody who's decent who can beat Trump. And as soon as Bernie said that, it was over. He had forfeited his campaign. Bernie Sanders forfeited his campaign. And he's to say it's weak that he did that is an understatement. What Bernie Sanders did was not only undermine his campaign, he undermined a whole goddamn movement when he did that. And why did he do it? Cowardice. He didn't want to lose. He didn't want to be Ralph Nader. He doesn't want anybody to be mad at him. He was upset that people yelled at him and held him responsible for Hillary losing. And he's afraid of that. Because he's weak and feckless. Whatever. He's a nice guy, Bernie. He's weak and feckless and the wrong guy to lead a movement. That's for fucking sure. He just lost to a demented walking death rattle with a horrible record because Bernie wouldn't even bring up the 8 years he spent in the White House fucking people over. He wouldn't talk about his corruption. He wouldn't talk about his kids' corruption. He wouldn't talk about anything. He forfeited this race, Bernie did. And all your heart and energy you put in, you should be upset at him. You should be angry. He should fear you the next time he opens his mouth and says Joe Biden's my good friend. He should be like, fuck, maybe I should stop saying that. You can't go, the establishment is corrupt and they're killing you. Hey, here comes a guy from the establishment. My good friend. Come here, buddy. You're a good guy. That you can't. So his message was mixed at best, schizophrenic at best, and completely undermining and forfeiting at worst. That was his campaign. He hired people to think of that shit. That's his campaigns on purpose. They did that. So here's what, and so that's why if you see me going hard at the squad or the progressive people like Jimmy, we get even,
Stop dividing the
Stop
party,
dividing.
Jimmy. It's so divisive when you call attention to people's bad leadership. That's hurtful.
No. We should start pressure. And a lot of my good friends, too, people who I, again, respect and thought they were smarter than me. And it's comforting to think people are smarter than you. I want people to be better than me. And it bothers me, that, I have to explain to them how this actually works. Oh, no, person who I thought was smarter than me, who went to an Ivy League school, who has children, I thought you were better than me. Here's how this actually works. You're supposed to pressure your leaders. You're not supposed to apologize for them. Oh, they're like almost like, all right. That's right. They just sold you out. No, Bernie got us that thing. That actually didn't happen. Michael Bennett wrote that part. Huh? That the bill was set to pass anyway. What? Yeah, it was already worked out with Mitch McConnell and the Yeah, it was already worked out. And Bernie gave a speech and what? And it was all fucking kabuki theater? Yeah. And then he told you he did something for it? Yes. And then the people in the progressive media lied for him and fucking gaslit their own audiences and told them that Bernie did something? Yes. So it's time for you to make Bernie Sanders. You know how you hate it when he wouldn't go after it? Well, it's time to make him fear you that you're going to be upset. Instead of going, it's okay. Bernie's just too nice. He won't win the race. In the middle of a pandemic, we're in apocalypse right now, and it's more important to him to be courteous to Joe Biden. A guy who's still promising to veto Medicare for all in the middle of this pandemic. Do you see how fucked up Bernie is and his campaign and all the progressives are? Do you see how fucked up they are? They all just shut up and went along and did nothing while Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Steve Mnuchin, and Donald Trump cemented a corporate fucking oligarchy and an income inequality from the Gilded Age for the next generation. They did that. People still don't know how bad this is. You know when you drive down the busy street where all the stores, you know how they're all closed now? Well, in a year, they're all going to be bought by the 1,000 people. There's 1,000 people are going to own everything that they just gave $4.2 trillion to. All those stores, all that, they're all going to be bought. They're all going to be empty or bought by people they just gave the $4.2 trillion to. Meaning equity firms, hedge funds, giant corporations. It's coming. The great unmasking is coming. And then people are going to go, you fucking voted for this, Bernie? You fucking did this to us and you didn't get anything in it? You didn't get fucking anything. You didn't even get health care for people with coronavirus. You didn't even get that? I didn't get anything. Did you get us? What did you get? Nothing. Well, there is $1,200, one-time $1,200 payment. And what does that do for us? Well, obviously it does nothing. Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?